And I hit the wrong button. Wait. Okay. Good morning. Let's let the stream catch up. It is a lovely and chilly Friday, December 5th. And this morning it was a brisk 40, some low 40s in Los Angeles. Good morning, afternoon, evening, Mo. Mm. Okay, I even had to wear a little sweater today. My MVP hoodie. Look at that. Very deluxe. Okay, what do we got going on? Come on in. Welcome. Let me advance. Ask questions. Send a comment. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. And this comic is brought to you by the terms and conditions of websites that nobody reads. Excellent. So it has been a very busy week, starting with a busy weekend. Last weekend, I believe on Sunday, I did my second AL vibe coding live stream, Journey 2, and I've already forgotten what it was about. What was it about? Oh, yeah, the idea of how some people are afraid of AI taking their jobs. Well, I'm just blown away at the amazing things I'll be able to attempt to do. Will I be able to do them successfully? I don't know, but it is pretty crazy. And I have a few stories just from this week of how I'm using AI tools like Copilot Agent, or you could be using Cursor, whatever, to essentially vibe code solutions and save literal days. It is pretty phenomenal. And then immediately after doing that live stream on Sunday, I went to turn off this camera and it made a grinding noise, which is utterly bizarre because it's normally virtually silent. I didn't even know there was a motor or gears going on. So it made a grinding noise and gave an error on the screen, wouldn't turn on, wouldn't turn off. I'd unplugged the battery and I thought it was dead. So hopped on eBay, ordered a new used one, still very expensive, extraordinary how much these things retain their value. And then the next day it turns on. So I've got a backup now, got this camera. A little puzzled. I have a feeling it's on its last leg and I need to get it serviced or something. And then interesting experience. So for the second time, I went and visited my old friend Scott. He was my very first client 1 week out of college in Woodland Hills, California. I worked for Deloitte and Touche at the time, right out of college, and they didn't know what to do with me. So they stuck me with this this poor guy. Um, and this consulting manager drove me out to this client in Woodland Hills, and I show up, no idea what I'm doing, absolutely clueless, right out of college. I didn't know what ERP was. I had an accounting degree, but that's about it. And so Scott was the controller. So I still stay in touch with the CFO and Scott. And yeah, so now Scott is older than me, and so he is now dealing with some dementia or Alzheimer's, and he used to be, big on his iPhone and using technology and computers. And what has my assessment is all of the technology that makes our lives so amazing in our prime or youth serves strangely, ironically, paradoxically, as a barrier for someone like Scott who has a hard time remembering, like, okay, which of the 27 buttons on the iPhone do I tap? And it is amazing if you sit and spend 5 minutes just watching how he has to navigate on an iPhone, how unbelievably just unusable it is for someone who has limited vision or limited hearing or any form of dementia or any just, unless you're just in your prime and able to navigate all this technology, every single thing becomes a barrier. And it's not just like fancy technology like an iPhone or laptop, but even the TV remote and whatever cable box or streaming box they have is just beyond what he's able to deal with now. And so it was really a humbling lesson that all the technology we're taking advantage of now that are can do amazing things for us is an absolute brick wall for someone like Scott who's just trying to watch a TV channel or get a text message or make a phone call. Really fascinating paradox that it's frustrating because I do not know how to begin to solve it. You'd have to completely re-architect a purpose-built solution with an entirely different design methodology. So very interesting lesson that he taught me on Sunday. Weekly projects, daily vibe coding. That is my goal, and it's just naturally happening. The first few days I was like, okay, today I have to practice vibe coding. I need to do something. I need to learn something. I need to ask an agent this or use AI for that. But now it just naturally comes up. It's like, oh, user guide for a new product? Done. Okay, let's scan the code, draft the user guide. No problem. So I'll talk more about that. We have a new team member at the Berlin, El Salvador office. And this week we had more fun version 27, BC 27 1099 discoveries. This is a US tax form that everyone pretty much hates, universally, I'm pretty sure. But every year we send out literally millions of these things, all of these tax forms. I get them in the mail, and it's just it's super dumb. But Ronald is now our 1099 guru and is charging forward to handle that. Partner dashboard alpha testing has begun. My first vibe-coded bug fix was successful, and a test generator and a new PR. And I learned how to stop typing like a lowly commoner. I mean, I was typing like a poor person. It was pretty embarrassing. But I learned my lesson, so now I am in the cool kids club. So vibe coding BC actions. Oh, okay, I remember this. So what I observed is when vibe coding, if you ask an AI, LLM agent, whatever, you say, hey, I want to add this action to do this, and can you make the action this? If you don't specify exactly, precisely where you want this action to go, it basically shoves the action randomly in one of the menus. And maybe it'll guess, like if it's a report, maybe it'll guess to put it in reporting. But in my limited experience, it just puts it somewhere. It's like, that's good as any, right? Roll the dice. Then I thought, okay, that's kind of weird. But then I tried to tell it, no, I want the action button over here. And it just didn't work 3, 4, 5 times. And it could not put an action button where I was telling it to put it, and even provided screenshots, said right here, and it just couldn't do it. It said it would, confidently said it fixed the problem 4 times, and it didn't. So 2 observations. One is that you need to really understand the behind the scenes AL labels for the action areas. I think that areas and groups. So it's not called actions in AL. I think it's called processing, if I'm not mistaken. And there it is at the bottom, processing action. So you have to say, if you say, please put the new action button in the actions menu, it'll just get shoved somewhere else. So you have to say, please put it in the processing area in the action menu bar. So I've learned that lesson. And then even if you do that, there are promoted areas, and it will put it in the non-promoted area by default, and you would have to explicitly know that you wanted to go in the promoted area. So it was really confusing at first, but once I spent a couple hours understanding how it's behaving and why, I think I figured it out. And I don't know that there's a simple fix. What we're going to do is try to document this all these details and put it in our instructions.md to help guide it. When I say put it in the related, whatever that is, or put it in actions, it knows, oh, actions is processing, gotcha. And I will say, always assume you need to include this in the promoted area or whatever. So anyway, that was a really interesting lesson. AI just cannot deal with the Business Central action menu structure if we refer to them by their captions. Okay. And that was the Vibe Coding BC Actions Partner Dashboard alpha, beta testing, whatever you call it. We are now internally testing it. Ronald is on the task. He is setting up, I think we have 9 BC demo tenants, adding them all, testing them. He's already found a few small bugs in the latest release, so Franklin's going to fix them. We're going to do Agile. We iterate, and boom, boom, boom. We should hopefully have a release by the end of the year that we will use internally. And first vibe-coded customer PTE has finally been delivered. My developer provided an initial release. I tested it. I found a bug. Very interesting how AI missed something, and we missed it because it required comprehensive testing to find the bug. So we got that fixed and delivered. More on that. And we have new team members at the Berlin, El Salvador office. Welcome to our new team members. So on Monday morning, I get a message from Jocelyn says, we have a situation at the office. And we've had situations at the office like crazy, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. So thousands of dollars of situations that we've had to deal with. This was a little less expensive situation. So they came up to the office in the morning, and here is Mrs. Kitty with her kittens in our El Salvador compound. Fortunately, she was smart enough to go in there where she's safe. And so Jocelyn was on the task. She got a box and a towel and food and bowls, and beautiful cat. Well taken care of. So definitely not a full stray, but yeah. So we now have new team members at the ERP Center of Excellence in Berlin, El Salvador. Excuse me. The cough just won't go away. So I have previously mentioned, I believe, that I tried, and I've done this over the last 15 years, I think, tried different operating systems other than Windows. Maybe it was just curiosity, maybe it was annoyance, but now Windows is going to a state where it is so annoying, so intrusive, so obnoxious, so ad-filled, and the recent bugs are getting so bad. I'm like, okay, I really need to find a plan B here. I tried Linux, and I could probably cope with everything for now at this stage, except Office is not available on Linux, and the web-based versions of the Office app are absolutely no substitutes for what I do. So I was talking with Brad, who is a big Apple fanboy, and he insisted that I try a MacBook. And I'm like, dude, they're too expensive. Well, turns out we were talking on Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, and I was checking prices on Apple on the refurbished site. I just said, well, let me check Amazon. Amazon had the MacBook Air M4 base model 2025 for $749. It's like, whoa. I paused. It's like, okay, maybe this could happen. And so I went back and forth with him, and he convinced me. And so I ordered one at $750 and spent a few days with it now. Here are my thoughts so far. I was able to get my critical applications installed. They are available natively for Mac OS. So got over that critical hurdle that kind of stopped Linux desktop cold. RoboForm, Snagit, and Office. My password manager, my cannot live without screenshot editor, and Microsoft Office. So far, so good. They behave a little bit differently, but overall, you know, very, very familiar. So that works great. All the messaging apps, all 27 of the messaging apps, Teams, Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp, whatever else I'm missing, um, those all native, no problems at all. Those seem to work fine. Windows app for RDP access, it's been provided by Microsoft for years. That works great. I use Termius for SSH, and Termius has not only a Mac OS app, but they also have an iOS app. So it's available on phone and iPad and Windows. So fantastic. If you do a lot of SSH, like I know most people have their solution, but Termius is phenomenal. It encrypts all your connections, syncs them across all your devices, just like super, super easy and convenient and super efficient. Screen and webcam, phenomenal. Huge upgrade from the base ThinkPad, Lenovo ThinkPad screens and webcams that are standard. I'm sure the ThinkPads have the option for the nicer screen, but I've intentionally chosen not to do the high resolution displays or the glossy displays, or generally avoided touchscreen because I just didn't want to deal with the downsides of the higher resolution. But the screen on this $750 computer is phenomenal. And the webcam is excellent. So that was a nice plus. Unexpected bonus, which I didn't even think about, totally not even in my mind, was the iPhone integration. So, or Apple ecosystem integration, whatever you call it. So I have an iPhone, so iMessage and photos are right there on the laptop. And until you start using it, you don't realize how convenient it is and how all the inconvenience I was dealing with by not having it on Windows. And I've tried the Windows mobile app. It's horrible. I uninstalled it. It was just not even worth the effort. Not necessarily their fault. They tried, but it's just not going to work. So being able to do iMessage and then having to have the photos sync instantly to the laptop and just pop them in. Like these are photos from my phone. I didn't have to go sync them through a photo app to back them up, get them on my PC, then pull them up. It was just right there on the Mac, screenshot, boom, paste it in. So worked well. What else do we got? Okay, so the minor, very, very minor things that didn't work. There's only 2 USB-C ports or Thunderbolt ports on this MacBook Air, no USB-A. So I was unable to use my my YubiKey, my USB-A YubiKey. Did not, well, I had to use a dongle in order to use it. Very annoying. I had a C. It didn't work for some reason. It's the old YubiKey 5 Nano C or whatever it's called. It didn't work, wouldn't be recognized. So I ordered this, and this I didn't know about. This is a new YubiKey series. It's called the Security Key, and it is like half the price or something. It's much cheaper. It's $35 or something. And it supports the FIDO authentication, but it doesn't have the other things like TOTP, password manager, and things like that, which I don't use anyway. So I bought this YubiKey Security Key C NFC. So it's got C plug and NFC for use with mobile devices and works great. So that's now on my keychain. And now that all of my devices are C, or at least have a C port, I am good to go. So I'm just going to transition over to that and keep my A as a backup. So that was good. So I solved that problem. And then Nitro PDF Pro is what I use for my PDF editing and technical analysis of PDFs. And they do not let you use your Windows license on Mac. You have to buy a new license or you have to buy their subscription. So not Mac's fault. So I need to deal with that, but it is available, native Mac app, so that's good. So I've so far, no roadblocks. Size and weight, phenomenal. It's like 2.6, 2.7 pounds, just a few ounces or grams more than a ThinkPad X1 Carbon. So equivalent. It is slightly smaller. The form factor is super slim, so that was a nice bonus compared to my old T14S. The price on sale at $750, amazing. Just destroys the hardware, the capabilities and performance of even a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon, like minimum $1,500 for a reasonable X1 Carbon, and you're talking maybe $1,600 to $1,800 to be competitive with this hardware specs. And the glaring downside to switching to Mac is the keyboard shortcuts and absolute, like, it's like playing Twister on your keyboard. They're horrible. And part of that is me learning, having to learn new shortcuts, but it's like Control, Option, Command for Shift plus insane. Like, I don't know who came up with these, but they're terrible. But that's the only complaint so far. Initial verdict, 2 thumbs up out of 3, and we'll see how it survives. So, Wednesday, Miracleless. Man, my first vibe-coded PR. So, my developer did his first vibe-coded PTE, delivered it in 1/4 the time of the development time that we had quoted. So his productivity just hit a 4x instantly. But we were learning, right? So he delivered the PT, thought, great, this is awesome. We're all amazed. And he added features that weren't even in the spec. But it made him, and I've experienced this as well, a little complacent. You're like, wow, it just coded it for me. And so he didn't do as thorough testing as was necessary. So I got it. I did testing and I went the next steps. I created a test data generator, which created customers, invoices, posted the invoices, even created a sample Excel file to match the customer's format based on the PRD. It just built it. It says, yeah, here's your Excel file. Cool. And absolutely insane. So I processed the whole thing end to end, hit post, and I found a bug. There was a non-visible field in the list part that was not getting populated by the vibe-coded import. And so I found that. I said, Copilot, is this a bug? What am I missing here? It's like, yep, looks like a bug. Let me fix it. So I fixed that. I did a user guide and submitted my first PR. And so that was awesome. And this caused us to have a call to rethink the dev role. So the dev role is not just I write code and I deliver it to someone else. Now, the dev role can be, I'm going to code based on the PRD. Let me refine it. Let me make sure the code looks good. I'm going to make sure to generate full test data, whether that's through automated test data fixture, whether that's through a UI-based test data generator, whatever. We're working on learning that. Developer can now do that. User guide, developer, 1 sentence, right? Once they're done, create a user guide so that I, as the tester, will have a user guide to go by. Testing checklist. It's great at this. Like, okay, here's the user guide, but what am I testing to make sure it works? Testing checklist for the human, and then we're going to move on to learn more. Oops, look at that. Wrong button. We're going to move on to do more automated testing. So our dev role is actually expanding because he just now increases capacity 4 times. So it's pretty amazing what we're doing now. Version 27 of Business Central is 1099 chaos imminent with MEM. So we are discovering numerous changes in Business Central v27 1099s, and we don't know how well this is going to go. We're a little hello and greetings, Pavlo, correct? So thank you, Pavlo, on the Vibe Coding live stream. You gave me a suggestion that was awesome. And if you haven't watched the Vibe Coding live stream, one of the demos that I did was bulk deleting test data that had been imported. So if you import 1,000 invoices, you're like, oh, cool, now my import works. And if you want to test it again, guess what? You've got to delete 1,000 invoices. It's a nightmare. So I was vibe coding how to bulk delete. And Pavlo had this awesome suggestion. Why don't you add a feature where it just deletes everything created in the last 24 hours? It works beautifully. My consultant loves it. So thank you for this suggestion. That was awesome. So 1099, we're not sure if we're going to have some chaos. Some partners are choosing to be as rigorous as they can in delaying BC version 27 upgrades. That's a strategy. I don't know if it's a good one, because if they go past that deadline, they may be in trouble, right? And others, like us, were saying, okay, well, we're going to embrace it. We're going to learn V27. We are going to have a procedure. We're going to test it before year end. So that's what Ronald is working on. Now, we recently learned that if you use MEM, well, MEM has their own 1099 forms or something. So we got to learn that. And there's some extra app you got to install. And it's a thing, right? So it's like, oh, okay. So if you're in the US, you have customers who have 1099s, which is most companies at least have one or two. Definitely be aware of the V27 1099 changes. And do you use passkeys? So I was talking with Brad Prendergast about this. And so far, now that I'm getting a little more comfortable with it, passkeys are pretty nice. Most implementations, so let me caveat that. Passkeys can be implemented in different ways. There are, I don't know the technical terms, I call them device-bound passkeys. Those are kind of a hassle because your laptop needs to have a different passkey than your desktop. So if you're logging into a website on two different devices, you need two different passkeys, is my understanding. Then there are portable passkeys where it's one passkey that can be stored in your password manager, and you can log in from any computer as long as you have that passkey in your password manager on that PC. So this is an example of passkeys. I did a test and I set up passkeys on my Twitter accounts, Steve Endo, More Steve Endo, and ERP Excellence. And so those pop up now. It's like, oh, which one do you want to use? Now, the one challenge I've had with this is I just tried to log on in a different browser for a screenshot, and it automatically, for some reason, logged me on using the wrong one, and it failed. So I'm still learning, but so far, passkeys in concept are super slick. It just instantly logs you in with the private key authentication. And most sites, you don't even need a password. Some you may. So pretty cool. I'd highly recommend checking it out and, getting familiar with them. And personally, I recommend do not store passkeys in your browser, period. Do not store them in the Google whatever manager. Personally, I would only recommend storing them in a dedicated password manager. I use RoboForm and 1Password, Passkey, KeyPass, whatever you use. That I think is vastly superior to a browser key storage. And then on Wednesday, I registered for the Vibe conference, finally. Got my flight, got my hotel, and I am now registered. Man, coughing day. Upcoming events. Próximos eventos. Areopa webinar. This is perfect timing. I will be traveling, so I think I'll be traveling, so I don't know whether I can watch it. But Monday, December 8th, 4 p.m. CET. You don't have to make test plans anymore. And I believe the idea is discussing how to use AI tools in order to help you design and build your test plans. And if you are not familiar, this Areopa webinar is organized by Luc Van Vught, and he is the author of Automated Testing in Dynamics 365 Business Central. This is his book. This is version 2, I believe. And you can pick this up from Pact Publishing. and it is the Bible of Business Central testing, automated testing, test automation, whatever the case is, test runners, the whole bit. So I will be rereading this and attending this webinar, and we absolutely want to have automated testing, programmatic testing, whatever you want to call it, test data fixtures, the whole bit, now that we can just vibe code this in minutes rather than days like in the past. So huge, huge opportunity with AI. So check out that webinar. Thursday, Jueves. Thank you to AJ. AJ, which AJ? Sorry, I spaced the last name. AJ in Europe. How's that? He informed me. I was like, wait, but I didn't think you can use you could use Key Vault in AppSource apps. And he's like, oh, you missed the announcement. Why, yes, I did. Like I've missed every announcement over the last 2 years, it seems. So April 2025, earlier this year, BC version 26, I guess, Microsoft apparently released AJ Kaufman. Thank you, Sasha. Oh my gosh. Microsoft released self-service app Key Vault onboarding for AppSource app, which is quite a mouthful. But you used to, if you wanted to use Key Vault in the past with your AppSource app, you used to have to submit a form and deal with them and put your secret in Microsoft's Vault because they wouldn't allow you to access your Key Vault from your AppSource app because it runs in the context of a Microsoft ecosystem, et cetera, et cetera. Very complex stuff. Like I kind of get it, but it was a big impediment. I do not know how they've resolved this, but they say this is self-service app Key Vault onboarding. So they may be using the same infrastructure internally, and you still may have to jump through those hoops, but self-service, you can now do it without requiring arduous communication with Microsoft to have it done manually. So now that we've already dealt with it for years, I honestly don't know whether we would use Key Vault for anything. Maybe an API key, but not sure. I don't know. Vibe-coded bug fix and test data generator. I mentioned that. I did the vibe-coded bug fix, and then I realized, well, this is getting silly. I need a clean test data generator. So I cloned the repo. I added a new data generator app. I had Copilot fully vibe-coded data generator to allow us to test in Cronus. It creates customers, invoice, post them, creates Excel file. Super clean, worked great. Took me an hour to do the whole thing, end-to-end testing to validate my bug. And then I did my own PR and did a build, discovered a new issue with our pipelines, and then I delivered the first vibe-coded PTE. Phenomenal experience. We are in the final beta testing stages of a new AppSource app with a customer. Hopefully we can get that new release pushed out this week, so that's good. And then yesterday, a friend messaged me, says, hey, turn on your game because it's got a huge update. So I go over to my gaming PC, turn it on, start the update. 91 gigabytes to download. Crazy. And because of these game updates, one of the reasons I upgraded my internet from 100 megabit to gigabit. Well, my game updates went from 100 megabit to 113 megabit. I do not know if that is my ISP doing QoS service throttling or if that is Electronic Arts or whoever hosts the game updates, but it didn't benefit me. And overall, in my limited paying attention, very, very few download services support anything more than 200 or 300 on the high end for downloads. So maybe I can get 100, 200, 300 is really pushing. I don't know that I've ever got 400 or 500, maybe one small thing that was so quick, but I have absolutely never seen any large or substantial single download that can utilize gigabit. So I have a feeling between my ISP doing selective throttling of certain traffic and just hosting providers not wanting to have gigabit downloads from their site. I'm very confident I'm never able to use more than 300 on average. So yeah, weakest link problem. Yep, I agree. So it is hype. So if anyone's offering you 2 gig, 3 gig, like seriously, you're just wasting money. It's like buying a Ferrari to go to the grocery store. Cyber updates, holy bananas. This is just yet another week in the dumpster fire of cybersecurity or lack thereof. And the supply chain attack that started last week on Node.js NPM packages continued this week with a reported 1,200 plus organizations compromised. Now, 1,200 organizations in the grand scheme of things globally is probably not a lot, but if you're one of those 1,200 organizations, it's probably a significant event. So, yeah, NPM is a problem. They're going to have to clean that up. This is the second time it's happened to them, apparently. And for whatever reason that I've read about, can't remember, I still have a hard time understanding what problem this is solving. Let's Encrypt, not just them, but Let's Encrypt is going forward with their previously announced plans to reduce certificate validity for SSL certs from 90 days to 45 days. Now, those of you who are used to creating the CSR, certificate signing request or whatever, manually in IIS back in the day, can you imagine having to replace a certificate every 45 days? It's pretty crazy. Now, obviously, Let's Encrypt, typically automated, typically scripted, so it doesn't really matter. But 45 days require them to massively upgrade their infrastructure to handle the effective doubling of requests they're going to get in addition to growth they're probably experiencing. And so 45 days for an SSL certificate is bonkers. And I don't really understand the problem they're solving. It's like, oh, will someone compromise this SSL cert or signing cert or whatever it is? No, it'd be SSL cert or something in the chain. Like, you think it's going to be solved by replacing that cert in 45 days? I'm assuming the compromise is upstream. It's not like someone decrypted an SSL cert and that's what they're doing. So it is unclear to me exactly what attack vector they're solving with this. But they're not alone. There's this trend going on. So this is from GlobalSign. And I think thanks KB for finding this. He's the one who brought this to my attention. So GlobalSign is reducing their SSL certificate life down to 200 days maximum. Now, apparently, they're still honoring the 1 year, 398 day maximum, but they're going to go down to 200 for new certs. And I think with Namecheap, I'm limited to 1 year. I have to renew the cert every year. It is so annoying. And the significant element that KB was pointing to is starting in March 1st, 2026, the max validity period for code signing certificate will go from 39 months to 460 days. And this is much more challenging because renewing a code signing certificate is a bigger hassle than an SSL cert. They do not have Let's Encrypt automated scripts for this, as far as I know. You've got to put this in key vaults or HSMs or USB sticks or whatever. You have DevOps pipelines for code signing. It is a major hassle. So while I empathize, like 200 days it's making everyone pay the price for the 1% bad actors. So yeah, Ted says, I need to vibe code a cert update script. I would love to. Fortunately for us, I think we're in fairly good shape, but we have to do a CSR from Azure Key Vault HSM. We have to submit that to GlobalSign. They then generate the cert. Then we have to import it into Azure Key Vault. So it's like a very manual process right now. I don't know if GlobalSign is going to add support for tooling for this, but it's one of those things where after 200 days, you're like, wait, What do I need to do to renew this? It is challenging. So that's been going on. And you may have heard in the cyber news, exploitation is imminent. Max severity React vulnerability with a clean high dive 10.0 Olympic grade CVSS severity rating. Cheers to that. So React, I guess, is some web framework or something, apparently has some vulnerability that allows someone to just own your server, just walk right in, submit malicious code, and exploit the server. So when I saw this, I said, okay, this is going to be fun. Sure enough, this vulnerability is being actively exploited. React to shell vulnerability in the wild. And I don't know why they say China Nexus. I mean, I'm assuming a 13-year-old in a, in a basement in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't matter where they are. Like geography, nation state doesn't really matter. But of course, the nation states are going to be abusing this. So yeah, it's actively being exploited, and in a twist that can only come from Cloudflare. Cloudflare, my interpretation, we don't know any details yet, but my interpretation is that Cloudflare must use React in their infrastructure. And in order to mitigate the risk of this, they made some internal configuration changes, which took down Cloudflare. So in the irony of ironies, the vulnerability wasn't exploited, or as far as we know, it didn't take down Cloudflare, but Cloudflare, once again, took down Cloudflare in order to deal with the potential threat of this vulnerability. What a time we are living in. But in the good news front, in the cyber updates news world, I was very excited to see this. I've not used it yet, but BC uses React, Mo says. I did not know that. Ooh, this could be a fun twist as the front end framework. Thank you, Mo. If anyone knows more, okay, I'm going to look into this. I'm fascinated. But yeah, I don't know if it's a particular component in React. It apparently affects multiple versions. So yeah, I didn't look into what the details were for the vulnerability. In the good news front, check this out. I am a huge fan, as a armchair cybersecurity geek, of hardening Windows. And there have been many guides written about this over the years. Many of them were specific. We have CISA guidelines, I think, FIPS guidelines. There were random individuals who tried to come up with hardening guidelines. It's actually quite difficult to harden Windows properly. And there's a very fine line where you go from a hardened Windows laptop to a completely unusable Windows laptop or computer, because you're having to just completely disable dozens of services. So this post is by Twitter or X user CyberCakeX, and the name is HotCakeX with a Star of David, and I'm assuming that's Hebrew. But yes, so check out this account on Twitter, and I'm assuming this is a she based on the profile photo. She has created HotCakeX Harden-Windows-Security. Harden Windows safely, securely using official supported Microsoft methods and proper explanation. Always up to date. Big asterisk on that one. I would warn her. Always up to date and works with the latest stuff. So this is, as soon as I saw this, like, whoa, this is a very ambitious project. And like, I don't know that I can directly contribute through code or PRs or anything, but I morally support this, or she's got my moral support here. It is truly shaped by community feedback and requests, available on Microsoft Store for free. And it apparently is an app on the Microsoft Store, supports many language, sub-second startup time, built with C#, Rust, and C++. Interesting tool set. No third-party dependency, backup and restore system state. So I am very, very excited about this. I have a hardened Windows laptop, kind of a self-hardened, hacked harden. So I would love to get a new laptop, wipe it, and see if I can harden Windows 11 using this utility. So I've not checked it out, but definitely check it out. Super cool. Okay. 2026 events, Partner in Vibe Conference, January 28th through 30th in South Padre Island, Texas. Partnerin.io. Come and visit us. It is for Microsoft partners of all flavors, and I will be giving a few presentations there. Directions NA is April 27th through 29th in Orlando. And holy cow, can I turn off these Teams notifications? Go to directionsna.com. DynamicsCon is in May in Las Vegas. I believe session submissions are still open. Hold up. Teams is absolutely, I'm getting blasted. I don't know what's going on. I'm busy. Stop. Okay. Good morning, Eric. You missed all the fun. So question for Eric. Here, let's go back since Eric just joined. There is a critical CVE in React Framework front end, and Mo said that Business Central uses the React Framework for front end. So I am curious if BC has any potential vulnerabilities and might need to be patched. So yeah, oops. Anyway, so just throw that out there since you just showed up, not to make you spit your coffee out. But so anyway, those are the upcoming events. And then Partner in Vibe Conference, Wednesday, January 28th through Friday, January 30th, Courtyard by Marriott, South Padre Island, Texas. I will be presenting Scaling with Nearshore Talent, Building a Consulting and Support Practice from Scratch, and Avoiding a $1 million lawsuit. And I think we're trying to submit with David Laster, Modern Support for Modern SaaS Rethinking Managed Services. Okay, so Eric is not familiar with the Yak thing. So if you could talk to your peeps and let's find out if there's any potential vulnerability. It's a huge CVSS on React. Friday, good morning. Coffee. I have 2 cups right here. Got up early. Vibe code by talking. I discovered this last night. I felt so dumb because I was typing like a pure commoner. I was so embarrassed. I was going to look into Super Whisper, something like that. I previously tried Dragon Naturally Speaking. It was okay, but it was always a little rough in fighting with it. I was going to try Super Whisper, which is new AI powered, but I discovered that there is a Microsoft VS Code extension called VS Code Speech. It's been around for years. Not the greatest reviews because people were trying to use it for coding, apparently. Well, I don't care about that. I want to talk to GitHub Copilot agent right in the chat window. I don't want to type that. I just want to say, hey, agent, I want to vibe code a new PTE that imports 10,000 customers. And it's like, cool, bro. Let me take care of that for you. So now you install this extension, you click the little microphone, just like Perplexity or GPT or any other app on modern devices. And it just does speech to text. It's like, cool. I click OK. And last night I was learning how to develop apps for Mac OS and the iOS ecosystem using Xcode and Swift UI and whatever else was involved. And I was using speech to text. And I said, hey, I want to learn how to create an app for the Mac. I said, great, let me help you. Copilot just walked me through the process. I was like, whoa. So we have finally arrived to 1986 where Scotty is talking to computers. It's a proud moment. My childhood, I dreamed of this day. So I have new app design. I have a call for building a new AppSource app for Business Central. So I have a call with a partner in Australia on that. And then I have a support call. And then I get to practice packing. It is once again that time where I try to figure out how to get all this stuff and 3 times more into suitcases. always fun. So Eric says he doesn't believe this affects B as the backend is not based on Node.js, but the front end Mo thinks is based off of React, which is where the vulnerability is, not Node.js. It's not the NPM vulnerability. It's a brand new React vulnerability that is being exploited. So Pablo says, just 40 years and we're finally able to talk to computers. We have arrived. We've been able to talk to computers, but it was kind of rough. Now we're able to talk to computers, just ask questions and have it just magically do stuff. So it's not just voice transcription. It's actually vibe coding and other things. So yes. Okay, so that is my Friday. It's going to be busy. Summit NA roadshows. Next week we have 2, Houston, December 9th, Fort Lauderdale, December 11th. In 2026, January, we have Nashville, January 15th, and Dallas, January 22nd. Dynamics Con Regionals, Tampa in January, Vancouver in March, and Denver in April. Eric says he's been yelling at Alexa for many years. Yeah, I gave up. I unplugged all my Alexas. I'm like, whatever. And excellence update. It has been a busy couple of weeks. We have been working nonstop at the ERP Center of Excellence in our global headquarters in Berlin, El Salvador, side of a literal volcano. Jocelyn is jumping back into configuration packages, studying for MB800. David is also doing config packages and MB800 studying. Welcome, Brad. You missed all the fun, but that's okay. Welcome. Both Jocelyn and David are studying for MB800 certification, after which they will become Microsoft certified trainers, and they will help start our training program in El Salvador. We will have a national training program, I have declared. Ronald is manning our new 1099 war room. So that is underway for V27. And he is doing the alpha beta testing of Partner Dashboard, and he will be leading up our Partner Dashboard Ops Center, which I've wanted for over a year. Partner Franklin is developing the Partner Dashboard. He is actively vibe coding. He is agile iterating, doing all the things, and he is also going to be learning PTE vibe coding based off of our statement of work, PRD, instructions file, and learning that entire process. So that is good, progressing very well. Fatima, congratulations to Fatima. Her PMP certification test exam application, which you need to submit in order to be able to even take the test, or pay to take the test, I should say, has been accepted, and she is going to schedule her exam and become a PMI member, I guess, because it's cheaper to just get a membership than to even take the test. And she is our project manager for the El Coyolar Christmas Festival, more on that. And she is going to be leading a new, it is not actually a Dynamics user group. So I will leak the new news. This is Professionals of El Salvador. So we are going to be launching an organization called Dynamics Professionals of El Salvador. We are expanding what we're doing there at the ERP Center of Excellence to help everyone in the entire country. So more on that later. Next, and I cannot forget our cute new team member and her little junior team members. So there's a rule: you do not name a cat in El Salvador. I'm sorry to say, because as soon as you get attached to that cat, they just disappear. So it's rough for cats in El Salvador. So we are pampering this one while we can. And big news. We have the El Coyolar Christmas Festival next Friday, 1 week from today. I fly to El Salvador to attend that with my partner in crime, Tanya, hosted by the ERP Center of Excellence. And thank you very much to this year's sponsors. We have Integrity Data, MTP Consulting Group, iSolutions, and McCorma, As soon as they heard about it, they said, yes, we'd like to help sponsor. So thank you for these 4 sponsors. Took care of our growing budget this year as our ambitions increased. And we have been planning this since August. And our project manager, Fatima, has handled that and coordinated 20 volunteers. It is a big event. I think we're at over 200 kids plus adults plus volunteers. So we're in the 250 to 300 people here. Pretty crazy. So this is becoming a big thing. So thank you to our Dynamics community sponsors this year. And we had the team, they went toy shopping in San Salvador a couple of weeks ago because we have to buy all the toys well in advance of the Christmas rush. So we got all those for different age groups, different types of toys. We had to have a full inventory. We did a statistical analysis. And we have a former integrity data consultant here, developer. So yeah, they gladly sponsored. So thanks to all of the sponsors. And this is the team. They prepared a photo booth and candy and signs. We have a banner coming along. We have a clown, a trampoline, a Santa, a bouncy castle, games, balloon animals. We're going to have popsicles or ice cream on a stick. I don't know, drinks and snacks, and it's going to be a good time. And this is the volunteer meeting yesterday afternoon, where Fatima is going over our color-coded project plan, as you can see, at our ERP Center of Excellence headquarters. So really phenomenal group working on this, and that was the volunteer meeting yesterday afternoon. So hats off to the team in Berlin, El Salvador, phenomenal, and this is all a volunteer effort for the children of El Coyolar Canton to give them a very nice and fun Christmas festival. So that is awesome. And Q&A, thank you for joining and hanging out here. And I always think about different topics for the Q&A. And this was interesting, just popped up this morning. And this person, Jeffrey Snover, wrote an article, a positive article saying, hey, AI is here. Why don't you consider AI teaming and a growth mindset in order to take advantage of this amazing capacity and productivity and innovation that can occur with AI. And so he says the wrong question is, will AI replace me? The right question is, how do I turn AI into a teammate that will make, I don't know what he meant there, but that will make me awesome, I'm assuming he meant with that typo. And I totally agree. And Brad Prendergast and I have been chatting about this. You can quickly go to the negative, say, oh my God, we're all going to lose our jobs by this AI. They can do the work of 10 people. That may be true. On the other hand, if you adopt these tools and you show 5x productivity, you become 5x more valuable, right? And your ability to tackle things that would have been completely unachievable, completely uneconomical, just economically infeasible is amazing. So he's very positive. I'm totally on board. We're seeing it firsthand. The projects we're now taking on, our ability to turn around a PTE, say from 40 hours to 1 to 2 days, phenomenal performance. So he concludes his post. This is he has a blog post on this, but he concludes it with, having explored this question, let's finish with an answer. AI is not about replacing everyone except for hairdressers and plumbers. Don't build a team of more bodies. Build a team that makes you awesome, and make AI an awesome teammate. And at this point, I wholeheartedly agree. AI is a massive enhancement. It gives you superpowers. It doesn't replace you, right? It doesn't just magically write the PTE itself. But if you use it judiciously and responsibly and effectively, it's phenomenal. So Pavla says, what cert do you use for BC code signing? So this is a huge discussion, kind of a pain. So be prepared for the hassle. I used Global Sign, I believe, because they have they used to have an MVP program where we could get a free SSL or code signing certs. but they are expensive. And I think the choice depends on how you want to use and deploy the code signing cert. So start there and move backward to make your choice. In our case, because we used Azure DevOps, we really wanted to use Azure Key Vault with HSM because HSM is now required in order to store code signing certs in a on a hosted Key Vault. So we went from Azure Key Vault HSM. We said, how do we get support for that? Global Sign, I believe is their name. They do support that. You create a CSR in Azure Key Vault HSM, a code signing request, or certificate signing request. You then submit it to them with your application. They then generate the key, and you can then import it back in Azure Key Vault. Some code issuing authorities, they do not provide that option. You have to use, I think, their Key Vault, their online, and you got to use their script or their utility. So really look into what your options are. Global Sign has worked for us, but now that I'm going to have to pay for it, it's going to be expensive. And they do have their requirements for who can get this and what your identity verification process you need to go through. So start there. Awesome. So AI is an awesome teammate. I totally agree. And then this reply, the predictable reply, all to the good, but the upfront reason we are putting the investment in AI, is so that companies can fire 40 to 60% of their workforce. Nobody's making a secret of this. Further down this path we go, the less so understand why anyone wants this future. So that's the pessimistic view, which I can get how you can go there. But my argument is there's only so much money you can save by firing people. So that's a fool's game. But there is no limit to how much money you can make and how much productivity and new features and new ideas and innovation that can occur with AI. So that is where smart people are focused. Absolutely. I've had this conversation with my developers, with my partner, Tanya, with Brad, and we've discussed all the negative places this would go until you see the firsthand possibilities like, whoa, we are now 5 times more productive. We are doing projects that you absolutely couldn't do before. We wouldn't have been able to do some of the projects I'm starting just because we knew they would take months of development, design, development, refactoring, testing, just huge, hundreds of thousands of dollars for these projects. Now we're like, cool, let's vibe code it. So now I have a call today with a partner. It's like, hey, let's create a new project. Great, let's vibe code it. So the possibilities are massive and are far greater than any cost savings you can get by replacing people. There will be economic challenges, no doubt, but possibilities, much higher upside of possibilities for AI assisted coding and other things. Okay, enough babbling. With that, I'm over an hour. Thank you for joining. Eric, let me know what you find on the React front end. Curious if they are dealing with that at the moment. But yeah, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. Que tengas un buen fin de semana. And I will be traveling to El Salvador next week. See you there. Nos vemos.